Hey friends, what's going on? This is David Potts with Song Notes, and today I want to talk about a single chord. This is going to be the F add 9 chord. So you might be learning songs in your guitar journey and come across a song that needs this chord, and you might be like, what is that? In this video, I'm going to show you. I'm going to talk about how to play it. I'll give you some nice close-ups. And I'm also going to show you some exercises and cool tricks you can do that use this chord. Okay, so you're actually getting some little case studies you can sort of apply this chord to right off the bat, and they'll be totally beginner friendly, so it's not going to be anything too crazy. And in my opinion, that's the best way to learn a chord, is you learn how to play it and then you sort of learn the common situations that you'll be using the chord in, and I'll talk about some of the tips and tricks to make it easier to master. So with that said, let's dive on into things. I'll get into the close-up here, and remember, you can check out playsongnotes.com. It's my own website. All the notes and tabs I'm using in this lesson you can find there if you want to access them outside of this video and print them out. I have a printable version of this and all my other new lessons available to my supporters on Patreon. So that's available through my website, playsongnotes.com. Check it out. Tons of other lessons. Great resource for you. Otherwise, though, let's dive on into this chord. Okay, the F add 9 chord. We're zoomed in here. Let's look at this. So what we're going to need to do is play the 4 thinnest strings, okay? So if we go to our 4th thinnest string, and we play the 3rd fret with our ring finger, that's going to be our bass note, okay? That's actually an F. Then we're going to put our middle finger down on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and our index finger down on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, okay? So from 4th string to 3rd to 2nd, we have 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and that's frets, okay? And then the really magic note here is going to be putting our pinky down on the 3rd fret of the E string, okay? So, and that's what it sounds like when it's all played nicely. What we don't want to do is we don't want to play the 6th string and we don't want to play the 5th string. Now what I'm sort of naturally doing here is sort of leaning my thumb into the 6th string so it's muted, and I'm leaning my ring finger into the 5th string so it's muted. You don't need to do that. If you don't know what I'm talking about with muting, don't worry about it. That's a separate lesson, but basically that prevents those strings from making noises unnecessarily. But otherwise, if you just play those thinnest 4 strings, that's going to be your F add 9. So that's how you play it. Now, I want to talk about some common places that you use this chord and just some general tips and tricks you might want to just keep in mind when you're practicing it or when you're learning it for the first time. Okay, so the first one is going from this C, a regular C major chord, to the F add 9. Okay, and the first exercise I would recommend doing is basically playing the C so that your pinky is on the 3rd fret on the highest E string, the thin E string, right? So that's 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open, 1st fret, 3rd fret. If we go from the 5th string onward, right? Now this is technically a C major chord as well. Whether you put your pinky there or not is optional. It works in this case because when we switch to the F add 9, check this out. All we're doing is moving our ring finger and our middle finger. We're moving them just sort of 1 string closer to the floor, right? So our ring finger starts on the 5th string for the C, and it starts on the 4th string for the F add 9. And our middle finger is always just 1 string closer to the floor and 1 fret higher towards the neck of the guitar. Okay, so that's a C, and that's an F add 9. Now you could just bring in any strumming pattern you want. This is a down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. It's a nice little thing to practice there, right? And the next thing you could do is just bring in a G to that, right? So if we went from a C to an F add 9, and then we just brought in a G, we're keeping our pinky in that same spot, right? And all we're doing is moving our left ring and left middle fingers down to the 6th and 5th string for the G. So we have the C, we have the F add 9, and we have the G, okay? And these are going to be 3 chords you use all the time, right? So C, to F add 9, to G. Okay, that's a good exercise as well. Okay, and you'll notice that my pinky was in the same spot for all 3 of those chords. That always makes for good learning, okay? Now to follow up on that, I'll say that one thing you could do with this F add 9 is you could slide it up 2 frets, and that would give you a G add 9. And I really bring this up because you could go from that same C to F to G, it's a great way to take that chord shape and really just by sliding it up, we're keeping the chord shape. All our left hand has to do is worry about the sort of transition, but it's using the same chord shape, so that's one less thing to master. And with any of these chords that don't have open strings, meaning none of these notes here are being left open, and what that means is we can move this chord shape anywhere we want up the fretboard and get, you know, whatever different add 9 chord. But that C to F add 9 to G add 9 is another thing you could practice, okay? Okay, another thing to practice with this F add 9, and we're going to use the C as well, is you could practice some alternating bass notes. So we could go from the So what I was doing there was just going from a C to the F add 9, but what I was doing is while on the C, I was playing the 5th string bass note followed by a down up, and then move my ring finger down to the low E string, 3rd fret, and then do another down up. And the important part here is that all my other fingers are staying exactly where they are. So whether my ring finger is there or there, all the other fingers are staying the same. Okay, and same for the F add 9. I'm moving my ring finger from the 4th to the 5th, 4th to the 5th string, okay? But it's always in the 3rd fret here. Okay, that's another good thing to practice. What it does is it helps you sort of move just one of those fingers, which is a nice skill to develop, and it also works on the picking skill of just targeting one string. So 5th string, 6th string, 5th string, 6th string, 5th string, 6th string, 5th string, 6th string. And then between each of those, you're adding the strum. So 5th strum, 6th strum, 5th strum, 6th strum, 5th strum, right? You get the idea, right? A good way to practice. Another thing we could practice is a song. This is a Donovan song called Catch the Wind. It's a great like folksy song from the 60s or 70s, and the opening sequence starts like this. It basically goes from the C with that, you know, pinky down here to the F add 9 and then to a G before going back to a C. But check out some of the bass string accenting I'm going to be doing, and also some of the little walk downs here. Listen. More time. Okay, so that's a really fun song, and it, you know, it adds a bit more complexity with the strumming and some of the little walkie uppies and walkie downies here, but it's a good one to practice as well. And yet, one more thing you can practice with this F add 9, and I'm going to use, again, the companion chord of the C as a sort of as a fodder here as well, is you could practice your hammer-ons with your middle finger. So check this out. If I'm on a C in the F add 9, you just go back and forth. What I'm doing there is on the C and the F add 9, I'm basically, first I'm plucking the bass note. In the C, it's the 5th string. But then I'm for the next down strum I do, or for the next like heavy down strum, I'm gonna do a pluck the open 4th string and then hammer on the 2nd fret with my middle finger. Okay? And the thing is, if you practice that for the C, it's the exact same thing for the F add 9. Okay, so that's a great thing to practice because you're going between two different chords, but you're basically using the same fundamentals with your left hand. And it's just a great way to sort of practice and not be stuck in one chord. Because if you're just doing the F add 9 hammer on, you're practicing that over and over and over again, it just sounds monotonous and dull, right? But by going to the C, you're going to get a lot of just diversity there, and you know, you're going to give yourself the real world scenario challenge of having to switch chords. Even if they're similar chords, like the C and the F add 9 are, it's still a really healthy challenge to get some reps with, okay? And I'll leave you as a improved guitarist. So with that said, I hope this was helpful for you. Again, F add 9 is one that it's worth knowing. It's a great way to sort of not have to worry about playing a full F or just thickest 4 strings or the thinnest 4 strings. It's basically doing those thinnest 4, but it's avoiding any kind of bar altogether. So it's nice to have in your bag of tricks, and it can sound good in many different songs, even if they don't specifically call for it. So with that said, thanks for watching, y'all. Have a good one. Check out my other video lessons, and remember to check out my website, playsongandnotes.com, to learn more, whether it's tips and tricks like this one, or if you want some warm-up exercises or some full song lessons. I got them all there waiting for you. So thanks a lot to all you who support me on Patreon, and those of you who have tipped in my tip jar on my website. It means very much a lot to me, and I appreciate it. So I hope you look forward to more lessons, because I have many more to come. So in the meantime, take care, my friends. Bye-bye.